Welcome to Michael's and Josh's Statistics Project. So we did a project on 3D printing 64 rings to see if they could withstand a stress test of 1 pound being placed on top of it. We used a 1 pound weight and we placed the 1 pound weight right above the rings to see if they would get crushed. We want to see if there is a difference based on deformity. Now, we can assume here, as our first assumption, that these 64 rings are considered randomized, as a 3D printer has a 32%-ish, in mattering on the printer, chance of having some type of deformity or failure to each print. So for 64 rings, each thing will have about 32% chance of failing, then a 68% chance of not failing. Now, each one of these rings can fall into one of 4 categories. A, no deformities and a stress test pass. No deformities, stress test fail. Deformities, stress test pass. And deformities, stress test fail. Now, here is our 2 graphs. We have a pie chart and our normal graph for our chi-square test. As we can see here, this is our data from our 64 rings of our total. We had 16 of them have deformities and 48 not have deformities. Of the 48, 14 failed the stress test and 34 passed the stress test. Of the 16 that had deformities, 10 of them failed the stress test and 6 of them passed the stress test. This all adds up to 40 that passed the stress test and 24 that failed the stress test. Now this is all put into a pie chart as well with their respective percentages. Now here we have the Hall of Rings. This is just some pictures of some of our people in our statistics class of second period being professional hand models and allowing us to use their hand for our deformed rings. This is what it looks like. You can see some bruises there, some chips and everything. It doesn't look the nicest. For our normal ring, it's just nice, smooth, clean. It's good. And this is just one of the rings that we put on a 1 pound and it got crushed. Next up, we're going to be using this graph, and because this chart is only using frequencies and not decimals, and the levels and categories are mutually exclusive to each other, we could say our second assumption of this. Now, since we're going to be looking for our expected values, and since we have 40 rings that pass the stress test, and 25% of them were deformed, we can assume 25% of 40, because 16 is 25% of 64, and 25% of 40 is going to be 10. And this will be the value in our upper left cell for past stress tests and had deformities, for our expected value of 10. Now we can go ahead and do this again for the bottom right as well. And as we can see here, for 24 rings failed the stress test, and 75% of them were not deformed, as 48 of 64 is 75. So 75% of 24 should give us an expected value of 18. Now we can go ahead and do this again for our upper right cell and our lower left cell by doing the same little situation. Now our final assumption of the chi-square test will be that every expected value has to be equal or greater than 5. So 10 is equal or greater than 5, that is true. 6 is equal or greater than 5, that is also true. 30 is equal or greater than 5, also true. 18 is equal or greater than 5, also true. Meaning all of this is all good, we can continue on. Now we're going to compute our chi-square statistic by using this formula right here, where O is the observed value, this, and E is our expected value, being this. Okay. Now, I have the math here of 6 minus 10 and all that, blah, blah, blah. This I'm not going to explain it through, but our observed values are placed into each one of these and then all added up minus the expected for each respective cell divided by the expected, and it adds up to 1.6, 2.66, 0.533, and 0.888. And all equal that up, we get 5.688, and that will be our chi-square statistic. Now, with a chi-square score of 5.688 and a of 1, I will get that word in a second. Editor Michael here, back to save myself from embarrassment from saying dog friends. Yeah. It's degrees of freedom. Little brain fart. Whoopsies. Back to what I was saying. 1. We attain a p-value of 0.017074. Now, this is based off, if we only had one cell, we would be able to collect all of our other cells just by having just this information and our totals. Oh my gosh, I don't know how that didn't come to me. Okay. With a p-value of 0.017074 being less than our significant value of our alpha 0.05, we reject the null hypothesis. There is sufficient evidence showing that there is a correlation between deformities and a stress test failure.
Hey, Eric.
Hey, buddy.
How you doing?
I'm good.
I have a very important question to ask you.
Okay, go on.
Will you marry me?
Is this 3D printed? That's actually kind of dope. I don't know. No.
Eric may have rejected me with the one ring I gave him, but this time I have 2 rings. Eric, you there, buddy.
Hi.
You see,
Guys, don't stop.
you may have rejected me with
Oh
one
my
ring
god.
here.
Okay. Okay,
But
bye. No, I'm not gonna.
I brought in you too.
That's crazy.
What's your answer? My answer? Will you marry
You're
me?
not even in the frame.
Will you marry me?
If you get one for every finger, I will. Bring it back. I'm done with you. You, right there. Not you, but you. Oh, you're not escaping from me this time, okay? They have rejected me with 2 rings. You said it. If I got 5 money on all your fingers, that you would marry me.
I love you.
Yeah, but I said for finger.
God!
Will you marry me?
You have a boyfriend.
Answer yes or no.
No.
Will you marry me? Just answer yes or no.
I'm ready.
What the? Will you marry me? Yippee! Michael, will you marry me?
Oh, my dog ate my homework. I'm sorry. I gotta go.
Oh.